Well, I'm going to take you down a little rabbit hole, but not for long. So here goes. Things are terrible, and I can prove it. We got global warming, wars, poverty, famine. All of these things that are going on is terrible. Then our own lives, we have our own issues. We have family issues, financial issues, church issues, health issues. All these things that we have to face. It's terrible. Stuff happens. And our opportunity is to know that we are the ones who are in charge of how we see whatever stuff is happening. See, we can shift. We can see with new eyes. We can hear in new ways. But that is up to us. How do we see things? I remember being kind of a computer geek 35, 40 years ago. And if you wanted to have a document printed, you'd have to get out the old IBM Selectric, type it out, know that if you had any mistakes, you had whiteout, and then you'd have your document, and that was great. And then came along these CRTs, these monitors, and you could actually type something on the keyboard, have it show up on the monitor, and you could adjust it. You could go back and correct the words if you needed to before you hit print. And then you'd hear this zzz of a dot matrix printer printing this thing out, slowly but surely. Then something amazing happened. We moved forward, and True Type font was invented. And you could see on the screen that you could choose the lettering, the spacing, the size, all of these things. And magically, when you hit the print button, what you had was exactly what was on the screen. It was called WYSIWYG. You can look it up. WYSIWYG is a real thing. And it stood for what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. I didn't realize it at the time, but it has great metaphysical implications. What we see, how we see what we see, is what we get. Everything in front of us is up to interpretation by us. We're the ones who choose how we see what we see. Now, there are times when things are said or things are before us that we may think, this doesn't sound right. Maybe it needs a new interpretation. I want to share with you some real live headlines. These are printed headlines. Iraqi head seeks arms. Panda mating fails. Veterinarian takes over. Really? Stolen painting found by tree. Hospitals are sued by 7-foot doctors. 7-foot doctors, I think. Grandmother of 8 makes hole in one. Kids make nutritious snacks. Cold wave linked to temperatures. Red tape holds up new bridges. Man struck by lightning faces battery charge. Finally, astronaut takes blame for gas in spacecraft. These things are up for interpretation. You take them literally. How do you see your world? I want to give you the opportunity for some fundraising here. This is cold water, unopened. And I will auction this off to the highest bidder. We'll start at $1,000. Do I see $1,000? We're doing fundraising. 1,000? There's $1,000 back there. Okay. 2,000? Okay, let's imagine for a moment that you're out in the desert and you can't even stand. And you crawl over a sand mound and you see me sitting in a chair with cold water, offering it to you. How much is it worth? It's worth everything. We are the ones who give things meaning. And it depends, yes, on our circumstances, but it also depends on our willingness to choose to see things differently. It's up to us. Wayne Dyer said, when you look at this phrase, I believe it when I see it, he says the opposite is really true. When I believe it, I will truly see it. I must believe it first, and then I can see the greater picture. Jesus got frustrated with his disciples from time to time because they were not seeing the bigger picture. We read in Mark chapter 8. Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000? How many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect? They said to him, 12. And the 7 for the 4,000? How many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect? And they said to him, 7. Then he said to him, do you not yet understand? Are you not seeing this bigger picture? What's really going on? We read in Luke chapter 6, why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take the speck out of your own eye, when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. See, isn't that what happens sometimes? We have a belief about something, and we think that what we believe is absolute. We're not open to change, but we're very open to changing somebody else. It's easy to be self-righteous. Maria Nemeth, a psychologist, spoke once of this idea of gathering evidence to prove your conclusion. So you've already made up your mind, and now you're just gathering evidence to prove it without opening up to any other ideas. One of my favorite scriptures is Mark 11:24. So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe you have received it, and it will be yours. And I think he whispered this or something better afterwards. I'm not sure. But that's the idea. You believe it, but just believe it's already yours. You want that new car? Then in your mind, go into meditation and smell that new car smell. Turn on the car and hear that new car engine. Or better yet, hear no sound because you got an electric car. Driving down the street, stick your hand out the moonroof and wave to your friends. You feel it, whatever it is that you want in life. If you believe you have received it, there's a feeling that's going on. It's like an early rendition of the law of attraction. Believe it's already yours. act as though it's already yours. How do you feel? You're excited. You know that things are working out the way you want or even better. How do you act? You act grateful, excited, on purpose with your purpose. This is what it is all about. We want to know that as we see things, what you see is what you get, but what you see and feel supercharges your thoughts. You know what it's like when you feel something strongly. Your words are hardly even enough. We co-create with God always. With the words we speak, the thoughts we think, the feelings we feel, the actions we take, we are co-creating with God. So you want to be open. You want to be willing, and you want to believe. Be open, be willing, believe. You know, everything's great, and I can prove it. Look at what we've done in our world. The technology, we get stuck from time to time. But look what we have accomplished. You have in your smartphone the computer power that it used to take to fill this whole room. I mean, I worked on computers when they had tapes and drums and Hollerith cards. Remember Hollerith cards? Do not staple, fold, or spindle this card. Some of you remember that. And these were used to compute things, to get information. We have such medical advances over the last several years. People are living better. They're living longer. They're feeling better about their lives. We've moved forward in so many different ways. This room is filled with caring, loving, intelligent, talented people. That's great. See, I can prove that things are working out well. Who's going to argue? Who's going to stand up and argue that this room is not filled with intelligent people? That'd be the one who isn't. Now, things are working out great, and I can prove it. When you look around and you see others, are you looking to know the best in them, see the Christ in them, know that they have value, they've had experiences in their life that you can really relate to? We want to see the divine in one another. We want to see the good in one another and not be in that place where we're gathering evidence to prove our conclusion. I have a saying that is always at the end of my emails. There's not a downside to looking up. And this is not like up to heaven and God type of thing. This is looking up in consciousness. This is looking up in attitude. There's not a downside to looking up. There's not a downside to looking for and expecting the positive. It doesn't mean that it will always happen. But I'd rather be ready for the good to happen in my life than spend my life ready for those things that are not so good. There are folks who feel really good about being right about everything being wrong. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I knew it wouldn't work out. I just knew it. When you're looking for the positive, see, you were setting in motion this idea of co-creation with God. And there is a spiritual solution to every human problem. You need to believe. You want to be open, you want to be willing, and you want to believe. You don't have all the answers right now in front of you to whatever's going on in your life. You have access to those answers. It requires some patience, some willingness, and some openness. Many years ago, my wife Kathy needed to have an operation. She had to have her gallbladder removed. We knew that, but we didn't have insurance. I just started in ministry. We didn't have any money. And so I did what anybody would do. I started calling around looking for sales on gallbladder surgery. I didn't want to buy one, get one. I just wanted, I wanted to find the best price. I'm in Houston, Texas, calling around, and I did find out that there were variations in the price. They went from $16,000 to $25,000 at the time. This is almost 30 years ago. I came home from church one day to find my wife just beside herself in tears, saying she didn't know what we were going to do. I said, well, we will figure this out. I took the phone book. Remember phone books? I took the phone book, and I started going through the list of doctors. And I found one named Paul James. I said, those are biblical names. Let's give this guy a call. We called him up. We made an appointment. We went down to his place in Houston, and we were visiting with him. And we told him what our situation was. And he said, well, I understand these are expensive surgeries, but let me see if I can help out. Give me a minute. He came back. He said, here's a form. I want you to fill this out. And I will need some money. But, this is a teaching hospital. I've done this operation 1,000 times. And we have a doctor who's about to go out, hang his shingle. He's going to be on his own. He's done this operation over 100 times. If you will let him do the operation, I'll be in the room. Maybe we can save you some money. My wife said, fine. I said, okay, what I will need is for you to fill out this form, and I'll need $25, and that'll cover everything. It'll cover the hospital, the operation, the follow-up, the doctor, everything, $25. I tried to get him down to 20. Now, I was really amazed at how something like that could work out. And it all went perfectly smoothly. But we had to be open. You want to be open to the guidance, to do what you're being called to do. Be willing to follow that guidance, to make that call, to trust and believe. Believe in what you see and what you feel. Because what you see and feel and believe is what you are drawing to you. This is spiritual principle. It cannot not happen if you have the patience, you have the willingness, the openness to say this or something better. What is going on in your life? What is happening right now? Stuff happens. We have situations that we need to face. We might be in the middle of something. We might be trying to reach a goal, overcome a challenge. But the opportunity we have always is to trust in Spirit, to trust in God. Look for the good. I remember a story about an itinerant preacher who was going from place to place out in West Virginia. And in this one place, he parked his car near the edge of a cliff. And he went in, he gave his lesson, came out, he was greeting people. And somebody noticed that his car was starting to move a little bit. He didn't put the parking brake on as hard as he needed to. And so this car kept going toward the edge of the cliff. And it went over the edge, and it tumbled down and exploded at the bottom. And everybody turned to the preacher, and he was just rubbing his hands together. And he said, I can't wait to see the good that's going to come out of this. So whatever is going on in your life, be in that place of, I can't wait to see the good that's going to come out of this. There's not a downside to looking up. Be open. Be willing. Believe. God bless you.